Hello, welcome into a new episode of Chi Time, where your energy matters. We look at energy from all different aspects, but it's your personal energy that is really key to everything else you do or be. And I'm Clara Apolli, your host. I'm a qigong teacher trainer, and I've been fascinated by the journey that qigong has taken me on, or this personal energy quest, having had a couple of instances of burnout, and I also lived without a home for 5 years as well, which was quite extraordinary around the time of my menopause. But what I love is that this show invites in luminaries, people that have had experiences around how their energy has been compromised, but how it's really woken them up to come in. What do I need now? What do I actually need to do for myself? And then come into more of this compassionate way of self-caring, which I know if you're listening to Chi Time, you're on that road. So welcome in. Indeed, this is Chi Time. This is really me time or you time. This is some free time for you to steep into the wisdom that's going to be shared with you here today. And it's not just me rabbiting on. I have got Dawn Breslin with me. She's the founder of the Harmonising Alignment Process, and she's a Hay House author, keynote speaker, and TV presenter. And she hasn't had it easy. She's had quite a struggle in her life. She had a series of unavoidable and unfortunate life events where she was left emotionally, energetically, and financially bankrupt. And her menopause came early, along with adrenal fatigue, burnout, and energetic depletion. I so know this one too. Dawn's knowledge in the field has grown from her practical experience of postnatal depression, early menopause, and this extreme emotional, financial, and energetic sort of challenges, the burnout. You hear about that, but when you're actually going through it, you just don't know what to do with yourself. We're going to bring her on very, very shortly. Dawn is now dedicated to helping others align their confidence, self-esteem, life vision, and energy through her, and I'm really excited about this, her harmonizing alignment process. Because this is just such a synergy with Qigong. I know it. So let's get Dawn Breslin on and see where this conversation leads to. Welcome into Chi Time, Dawn.
Lovely to be here, Clara, and gorgeous to be with everyone who's listening. Thank you.
Welcome in. So tell us a little bit about what happened then, when these burnouts, all these challenges, they came at once. It wasn't just one, everything came at once. I mean, what?
It was really interesting because I was literally 1 minute, I was at the top of my career. I was in the most potent position I'd ever been in my life career-wise. I was working on television. I was, speaking around the world, speaking at all the biggest mind, body, spirit shows. I was just, my passion is education. I believe that I'm here to be of service. I seem to go through stuff, and then from my experience, I share and I help people deal with whatever they're going through. Yeah.
But that is the way we do this now. It's the stories of what we've had to deal with that helps others that could be going through them, isn't it? So it's the education piece is fascinating because we need that education first. We're like on the front line going, oh, have I really got to learn this now? It's like, okay. But you're doing it on behalf of more people than yourself.
Well, and at the time, so I was in this real high, and then I was given an opportunity to set up a women's empowerment portal with one of the biggest, Procter Gamble, one of the biggest companies in the world. And it was a phenomenal project. And I basically, what I did is I walked away from everything else I was doing and packed my bags. I was living in Bath. Packed my bags, moved back to Scotland because my daughter was going to be happier in Scotland. So we came back here, and I thought I'll travel, maybe 3 days a week to go and do this phenomenal job. And I came back to Scotland, and the credit crunch hit, and the job didn't come off. But by this time, I'd cut all my ties. So I thought, okay. I will set this up by myself because everything I'd done in my career up to that point had worked. So I thought, I'll just do this. And I set it up, and, lesson number one, Do not go into a field to try and do something that you're completely unskilled at. My skill was people. It was life transformation. It was, working in the media. That was my job.
Mm-hmm.
And I suddenly, in 2008, when there were no blogs, if you wanted a website, you had to get a technical company to set the website up.
Sure.
I went into that field and thought, I'm going to learn about online marketing. I can set up a website. I can run a tech company. And after 2 years, my days were just, I actually was in this office. I've got the 2 offices in my house, but this office. And I would sit from morning to night, trying to do my work, trying to be innovative and creative, whilst just these things started to happen. So the first thing was, I got a bill for a property that I owned. I couldn't sell it because of the crunch. The bill was for 50 grand and I had a new business. And so I went to the bank and they were like, no, we can't give you a loan. So I started to take out credit cards. And that was the beginning of this kind of debt journey. And then, so that was 50,000. So at the very beginning of my new business, I went into 50,000 pounds debt very, very quickly. And then it was just a series of events that happened. I remember at one point just thinking, God, universe, whatever it is, whoever you are, what are you doing? Because I'm losing control here. And I'd never really lost control before. Even when I had postnatal depression, I was lost. I hadn't lost faith. I was lost, but it was this was like being in a sinking ship. Financially, I was trying to move money around every day. I had to let go some of the staff that were working for me. So they had to go. I was then doing the work by myself, moving money around, moving pennies from one account to the next account. I had clients flying in from abroad and paying me £6,000 to work with me for a day, which was ridiculous.
Wow.
So they'd come and work with me. The £6,000 would go on to credit card interest that month. So everything it was just flooding out. And the cost of keeping the business together was incredible. But in that, I knew this wasn't working. What I had is I had the echoes in my mind of people saying to me, my goodness, Dawn, you're sitting on a gold mine. The work that you do, you can earn so much money. So I'm listening to this. I was never really so driven by money, but I thought, goal, Capricorn, yes, I'm going to make this money. So it's going to come and it's going to come one day. It's going to come one day. It's going to come one day. So keep going, keep going, keep going. So I'm heading down. I'm going further and further. Early menopause is kicking in. My daughter had acid thrown on her car. She was then depressed. I was trying to keep a hold of what was going on with my daughter and trying to work constantly. My mum's partner then had a heart attack, and then my mum goes down, and I'm holding on, trying to make sure everybody's okay, keeping the money together. The business is going down, the debt's rising. So I get another credit card. But at the end of 2 years, I'm £100,000 in debt.
Oh my God.
I'm struggling. I'm never missing a payment. I'm still holding it all together, miraculously getting a new credit card to just keep my head above the head above water. But everything around me is falling down. My relationship's crumbling. Everything was going. And I remember this girl who worked with me, and I love her to bits. And I'd had to let her go, and she came in to work with me. And the day she came in, I said to her, "Can't you just work with me for free? Just help me work me for free." And she said, "Stop. She said, "You're the most inspiring woman I have ever met in my life. I can't see you right now. I can't see you. You've got to get out. You've got to let it go." And I was like, in my mind, I can't let it go. I can't. Who will I be? Who will I be if I let it go? What will I do? What will I do for work? What will I do for money? Am I going to lose the house? Will I lose my car? Will I lose all my stuff? What about my daughter? I don't want to move her. She's had such a tough year. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I just couldn't breathe. I was on a hamster's wheel. I couldn't get off. I couldn't breathe. And when she came round that day, I thought, I've got to do something. What am I going to do? You know? And I thought, okay, I'm going to have to look at what bankruptcy looks like. Yeah. So I'm going to phone up a debt company. But it wasn't, the house was a big thing. And the cars and all that stuff, they were big. But the biggest thing was, who would I be?
Yes.
It's like at the end of a marriage, at the end of a business, at the end when we're made redundant and we're exhausted and we're struggling in the job, who would I be without this identity? That was the biggest one. Who am I without this? And the terror, the absolute terror of, and the other thing that plagued me was, this is my purpose.
Yeah, I'm meant to be doing this. This is what I'm here for.
Doing this. What is going on? What is going on?
Yeah.
So I phoned I phoned up a debt company. Somebody said to me, phone this company. You never know, until you speak to them. And I thought, okay, I've taught people this for years, get the facts, gather the facts. Yeah. So I phoned the debt company, and this guy's at the other end of the phone, and he said to me, you might not need to go bankrupt. You're in Scotland, and there's a scheme where you could pay the money back over 10 years, which means you can keep your house. We'll cover your overheads, and you can basically pay small amounts back in the initial stages where you're recovering yourself. He understood.
Wow. Yes.
So it was like, you can have small payments, and then when you get your strength back, you increase your payments. And I can do this. I can do this.
Wow. You were able to do that. So there was, you asked for help. That so often we feel that we need to do everything ourselves. And I mean, I was really recognizing myself when you were talking about like, well, I'll just do it myself then. And I'm sure people that are listening are like, yep, the buck always stops here with me. I have to just crack on and do it myself. We're not supposed to do everything ourselves. It's not possible. We're meant to work with the gifts that we have and then work alongside others that have other gifts that sort of augment ours. That's what our true communities are now building towards, I feel. So to reach out and ask for help, I think that's the first port of call. So well done you. But the other thing was that I was feeling into here with the energy behind all of this, because you're such an energy wise woman, to have been going into so much debt, how that affects your energy field of like all that owing things. You haven't got anything to build you to actually, where was your foundation? And
coming in, everything was going out. There was nothing coming into me. I was looking after my daughter. I was looking after my mother. I was looking after the business. I was trying to hold everything together around me.
Too much. There was
no time to replenish, to ground, to put anything in. And this is a massive lesson for me.
It's huge for all of us. We give out, we do what we can. We're here to be of service, and yet we forget to take care of the one person that needs our care. And if we can't look after ourselves, no one else is going to. And this has been a massive lesson for me, Dawn. And I think it was also very coincided with my menopause as well, where it was like, I can't carry on like this. I just can't keep chi leaking everywhere. All my energy was just leaking. It was giving, and I wasn't giving to myself, and I'd lost my practice. So when I gave the keys back to the landlord and went home free for 5 years, a whole nother story. But it meant that I didn't have to earn as much money.
This is coming to my story next.
Yeah, exactly. So how you then chose to manage yourself once you knew there was a way through with this bankruptcy, or possibly even not.
Where the beauty comes in. This is the magic comes next. So letting go is terrifying, because as humans we are programmed to want to know what's coming next. We want certainty. We want to be so sure. And I have learned, before I go into the rhythm and the nature of life and reality, and the beautiful flow and the organizational intelligence of the universe. It's like, before I get to that, the first thing was just letting go and falling into this abyss. Yeah. And my bills were covered. So everything was, I had to, cut my cloth. I had, I was shopping from Lidl and I was buying very, very little. And we went on to a budget of nothing. I didn't go into a department store or a shop for probably around 4 years. It was just basic shopping, and that was it.
Yeah.
I think I went into the occasional secondhand shop and bought some stuff. But when I landed, within around, I think it was around 3 weeks of, first of all, my brain was just in this place where it was like, okay, what are you going to do next? How are you going to get out of this? But my body, the minute I stopped, I was shot. I was shot.
That's it.
There was nothing. The adrenals, everything stopped. And there was nothing to fight or flight for anymore. There was no more fear because the bills were covered. But there was no energy. There was nothing fighting my energy. There was nowhere. The energy could come from nowhere. There was nothing. I went to an acupuncturist 4 years later. She looked at my tongue. She said, there's no energy on your tongue. There's no energy. Because I kept running. And every time I'd run, I was trying to run to get energy. And I would burst out crying when I was running because it was like, why can't I run?
Well, because running actually gets rid of energy. And this is where we get into the wise practice of energy cultivation, where certain movements help you to tune into the power of the earth beneath you or the elements around and above. And I'm sure this is where this will evolve into. And I know certainly that was my journey, reaching rock bottom, going, well, what have I got? I've got my practice if I could only let myself do it. And that began actually with doing sweet FA, just stopping. Was that the same for you?
I went to stop. So I did nothing.
Yeah.
I did nothing. I think I bought a couple of dressers within the first year and I just painted them. And I would put classical music on and I would paint. And I'd restore them just by painting. And that was about as much as I could do. It was just this movement.
But that's so respectful. And as you, Dawn is demonstrating a movement from side to side with the hands, which is just reminding me of this wafty, softy chi movement that you can do just to help kind of, tune in with the energy and just be with the pleasure of moving and just go, this is enough.
Yeah, and it's enough.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
You can Tai Chi or energy. I had no idea about
but it's natural. And if you want to see this, it's on my YouTube channel, Clara Polly's Chi Time, if you're listening on UK Health Radio. But that whole, and did you find that there was a part of that you were really grateful for, that you could just, I can just do this?
Process, within 3 weeks, I dropped into this place and I live by the sea. And I have this small garden that's gorgeous. I mean, my garden is actually the sea. It's 180-degree views of sea. And
wow.
And I'm in my garden and I started to see it was spring. And this time, actually, 10 years ago, exactly 10 years ago, 2012, interesting timing. And I started to notice all the little snowdrops and the crocuses and stuff in the garden, and I could hear the sea and the waves, and I could feel the spring sunlight, and it was the first time in years that I dropped into complete stillness, and the feeling of presence was so blissful and euphoric and new. And it was incredible. It was like, wow, I've just entered another world. I was exhausted. I couldn't do anything. But for the first time, I was experiencing presence and being. And this was a portal and a doorway into a whole new world for me. And in this time, I was really, I'd never really downloaded information or been so inspired before. but something started to move through me in the stillness. And, you know, the amazing thing is, you know, if you have a period of time, whether it's a year, for me, it was 3-4 years where I didn't work. And in that time, I wrote the format of a film, which was turned into a screenplay, which I have. It's just sitting here right now for the right time. I intuited this whole new process. My big question was, how many people on the planet are burned out?
Yes.
And how do we heal?
Yeah.
And there was nothing available to me in the coaching world, which was the world that I was in, and personal development
So
world.
you were in a whole new arena.
I was brought into a whole new arena where I was like, where do I read about how to heal? And I had no idea.
Dawn Breslin is here with us on Chi Time, and I just want to hold that energy that you so beautifully guided us into about presence and being, and introduce the track that you have chosen to share with people here today, and why you've chosen it, and what it is, and who's singing it.
Yeah, so you'd like me to introduce it?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so it's called Grateful, and gosh, it could even bring me to tears. At that time, I would listen to devotional music, and I would be brought in hushed. It hushed me into that presence and that bliss that I've just described. And I can't remember the exact name of the artist. Have you got it in front of you?
Yeah, karaoke.
Karaoke. So I heard this track a few days ago, and it literally brought me to my knees in gratitude. Again, bringing me into that place of stillness. And it's the exact same, you were so right, you know, it's the exact same energy that I've just described. It brings you there, it transports you there. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So, you're back on Chi Time with me, Clara Apollo. I'm here with my guest, Dawn Breslin, talking about how we can harmonize our energy, how we can build up from the depths of despair and overwhelm and burnout. And Dawn was just about to begin to talk to us about how she then emerged from that, and how this incredible harmonizing life process came through, which is, yeah, I mean, how did this occur? You know, what happened next, and how did you heal yourself through this, is what I'm gathering occurred.
The process was coming through me, and it was, I became the conscious observer of my own healing.
Yes, yes.
And my reading started to change. So I stopped reading personal development books and anything to do with growth, actually. I didn't want to grow anymore. I needed to recalibrate. I needed to heal. And this is the natural rhythm of life, is that we grow and then we rest, we repair, and then we grow again. Whether that be in a day, output of energy, and then input of energy, resting, and then we're ready for output again. Whether it be in a period of menopause, there's a time to slow down, there's a time to grow, there's a time in businesses where we have to allow ourselves, you know, in business or in work, where we have to, you know, if we go through grief, we go through marriage breakups, we go through redundancy, we go through these big life-changing events where the whole system is traumatized. It needs time to slow down. So my reading changed, and I started to read about Taoism, so Taoist wisdom, the natural flow of life, the universal intelligence that moves through all things, and how if we stop pushing, events will actually take place.
I know, that's the thing. I think that's that trusting that your energy body has such a wisdom to it, of which your mind is part of.
Yes.
But the mind is so overused in our culture. And I don't want to give the mind a bad rap, because it's really useful. But in our qigong practice, for instance, when we're in the present moment, we guide the mind to be in relation to the heart and the energy system. And again, that's the rightful alignment, isn't it? That's how it's part of the team. It's not the leader. The heart's the leader.
It's the supporter. It's not the leader. And the leader when it comes to healing and really growing sustainably, thriving sustainably, being effective in our work, being effective in our relationships, being effective in our lives, we need to be vibrant, we need to be vital, we need to be full, which means we've got to listen to the body. We've got to listen to our needs. When we are exhausted, there is medicine in the term exhaustion. The body is saying, I cannot take this weight. You need to recalibrate here. You need to listen to me and do something different. But because we are culturally conditioned to be in perpetual growth and to deny what our capacity is, we don't have the mindset, we don't have the narrative that supports us to live in harmony at this time. It's coming.
I thought also that word permission. It's almost like you don't give yourself permission to take care of yourself. It's like, no, I look after everyone else, I'll do everything else. And it's when I come into looking after myself, it's like, oh, no, why am I doing this? That self-care piece, that self-compassion piece, and it's just been eradicated out of our culture due to, as you say, this constant growth. But as you also said earlier about nature, nature has her rhythms and her cycles. And hello, we are part of nature. We are nature.
We are organic beings.
Yes.
We are natural beings. And we have intelligent we have clocks and rhythms and cycles, whether it's the cycles of the hormonal cycles, whether it's, there's the moon and the sun cycles, there's the cycles of nature, there's all these external cycles, internal cycles, that if we live in alignment with them, we can come into alignment. But I'm going to just go back a bit to something you said, and it was about permission. And it's the fact that, at the moment, we don't grow up in families or inside organizations where the organization says, oh my gosh, you've had a big blow. We need to make sure that you've got some flexible time around this so that you can come back into your full vitality to go again. So I've worked with the Law Society, with HR departments in some organizations. So we've been looking at how organizations treat things like menopause, how they look at their human beings, and how they can maybe support their human beings to work with what's actually naturally occurring in human beings' lives. So organizations, that's really exciting. They're starting to look at this. It's just the beginning. But traditionally inside an organization, you look at the NHS, the organizations at capacity, the individuals, unless they are empowered, and again, I've worked inside there to work with the individuals to take the empowerment, because the organization cannot flex to the individual. So the individual needs to learn to be able to flex within the organization, which means taking back their power. Yes. But in our families, we don't, because it's not been the cultural narrative, we don't come from families where our mothers or our fathers have said, you really need to take 6 months out. You really need a year. So one of the big things that I do in harmonizing is I go back. This is me. I go back to the child. And I teach people, because one of the most difficult things that I find when I'm working with people is getting them to actually commit to themselves.
Yes.
And if they even commit for a week, it's not enough because behavior goes back. So I teach people to mother themselves.
Yes.
Build compassion towards the self, such deep compassion through this incredible link. And I have coaches around the country who are doing this now as well with people to help them build this connection so that they hear with compassion what is going on in the body and how important it is for them to nurture themselves, to look after themselves, to care for themselves. And without that link, it's very difficult. It's so difficult to at this point in our evolution, it's so difficult to
I love that. So you go back and mother the child within you, and we hear about inner child work and still have that playful way of living as well. But it's also this permission to self-care, be the mother of yourself. It's some work that I did a while back. It really helped me. And part of my journey when I lived without a home was that I had to go and live with my parents again for 3 months, which I was kicking and screaming against. But I knew that I was being called to do the work, and I did some massive shifts. It wasn't easy, but also because it was a family home, I was then able to visit myself at the ages I was before and go and do the healing. And oh my goodness, it's such powerful magic.
So
Ripples, ripples. Yeah.
mm.
Dawn Breslin is here with us on Chi Time. I wonder, is this a simple little process that we could share with people now? Is that something that we could, yeah, what could we do with them?
Are you
We do
thinking
for
with
them?
regards to the inner child? Because
It's
you know,
here,
'cause
it's here now.
there's two places that I really learned to heal. One was building this tremendous compassion with myself as a little girl, and really making a commitment to give my. I also had the fear of pushing my body too far again, too fast. So I had to be so tender with myself to bring myself back.
Kind.
And the second mother that I found in this one was me mothering me, but I went to nature and I
Great
lay on the earth in my exhaustion. I would lie behind trees and people's dogs, I'd hide and people's dogs would come up and I'm like, go away. I don't want people to know I'm lying here. I'd be lying in a big Barber jacket and a floppy hat, you know, in the woods. Because my body intuitively, it's like Mary Oliver, she says, the poet, she says, allow the soft animal that is your body to love what it loves. And I saw myself as this animal, this tender animal that was broken. And I gave it whatever it needed. I listened and I learned to listen so deeply. So as far as a process is concerned, when I am tired, or even when I'm lacking inspiration or motivation, or, you know, when life gets in the way, because it constantly does, we're in flux and chaos all the time. I will go to that mother and I will walk in my woodland, not my woodland, in the woodland nearby. And I'll walk and I'll listen to the little river, and I'll listen to the rustle of the trees, and I'll watch the little squirrels bounce out in front of me, or, you know, listen to the blackbird calling. And I immerse myself so deeply. And to begin with, my thoughts, you know, someone said something really interesting recently. They said, it's really difficult to think when your senses are open. So when I go into the forest, I open all my senses. My sense of smell, touch, sight, everything is awake as I start to nestle into the rhythms around me. And I do it by myself. I don't have a dog. I don't have a partner with me. I am by myself. And I allow myself to merge with the sounds, the sights, the feelings. And I walk until there are no more thoughts. And once again, that feeling of bliss and presence. And I walk until I merge with it all. And the wonder and the awe of it just begins to ambush me. It seeps into me, it cleanses me, it moves me, it shapes me, it fills me up. I receive, it's an incredible physical, emotional, for me, experience. And then I keep walking, and sometimes I just can't even bring myself home. I just have to keep going, and it's dark, and I'm there until the light just disappears. I love walking at twilight, and it's like I wait, and then the light disappears, and I'm so full up, and I'm so ready, so nourished. But I allow myself that time, and that can I can go out there for an hour and come back in 3 hours.
Yeah.
So as far as a process, I
That
think
was
it takes courage to
perfect.
go into the woods by yourself. It's something I used to pretend I had a dog. I'd
Me
shout, Charlie,
too.
Charlie,
Me
Charlie,
too. Back
Charlie.
in a minute.
There was no Charlie.
No.
um,
Very
so it's something
similar.
I taught myself
Very,
to do, and yeah.
very similar. That was a process. That was absolutely beautifully described, and your energy is exquisite, Dawn. Thank you, thank you. And it's reminding me of when I was on the road for 5 years, and where was my living room? My living room was in the New Forest, and I had certainly certain little pockets in that zone that I would go and visit for this nourishment that you have just shared so beautifully with us. Because nature knows, nature's already in harmony. If we want to balance ourselves, get into get out of the funk and into the real us, nature does have the answers. And she just said we just need to choose to give ourselves time to let ourselves steep in it. And a bit like the power of breathing, the breath work, and that, just honoring the rhythm of the breath. It seems so simple.
Mm,
And just as going into nature, it seems too simple,
mm,
but it's not. It's
mm.
massive, it's huge, and it's an abundant energy there for us at all times to gather up and to feel nourished and to give gracious gratitude for. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Dawn, how can people find out more about what you do and what you get up to? Where can they go?
So you can come to my website, which is dawnbreslin.com. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. I have a wonderful little space on Facebook, it's called the Harmonizing Hub. It's a private group where I speak sometimes in there and talk about what's going on in the business. And just this month, actually at the beginning of March, I'm introducing a monthly membership. So
Right.
for £33 a month, people can join me
Yeah.
every month for we do Zoom calls. We help people to come into harmony with their
Yeah.
menstrual cycles, moon cycles,
Yes.
their energy, their soul, their mindset, their daily routines, rituals. It's about coming into harmony, how to love yourself, how to be in harmony with your feminine body, how to celebrate life. So it's mind, body, and soul. And it's just a wonderful way to kind of get connected into what we do. I teach
Yeah.
coaches the process. I do lots of different things, but people can find that on the website.
Oh, that feels so rich, and also this building of communities that we're doing now. And yeah, we're doing it online, and that's is creating a really strong foundation so that I don't know about you, but when you meet up with people that you've got to know online and then you meet them in the real, it's like, whoa, you're already kind of so there with one another that it can expand the connection that we have. So I feel that this is 2022 is so about this building of not just the building on, but the growing within the communities. So absolutely with you on that. And just to finish off with, we often hear about, grounding and balancing, and to me that grounding is going down, really important. Obviously anyone that's done any qigong knows how there's certain techniques that I actually can introduce you to, so you probably know as well, but over on my Chi Time TV channel. And but also this balance thing, the balancing of the light, right and the left, the up and the down, the light and the dark, the in and the out breath. But I like this word harmonizing, that goes beyond balance with all the different aspects and elements of your life that kind of we can weave and flow with. Is that so? Your thoughts on balance and harmonizing would be great, just to complete this episode.
Yeah, I think just exactly what you're saying. And it's my balancing for me, it's balancing the mind, so our thought processes. It's about coming into balance and alignment, or alignment with the spirit, our intuitive knowing, our deeper feeling, our deeper wisdom. And then coming into connection, to feel abundant energy, to feel abundant vitality. We have got to be able to learn and listen to the body and energy rhythms, what you're teaching. And you're teaching people to ground. I'm giving people strategies to find that balance. And at the end of the day, I think, to summarize harmonizing, it's and there's so many different layers to it, but it's about how can we, I'm really excited about us growing into our potential,
Yeah.
being who we really want to be in this world, you know, and we need confidence, we need belief in ourselves. So this is the mindset to really align with your empowered self through the mind. But in harmonizing, it's about balancing you know, this feminine energy, you know, the receiving of who you are, the receiving of energy, the receiving of wisdom, intuition, knowledge, and then, you know, balancing that with this masculine energy of action and moving forward and being there for yourself, in your communities, in the world, taking your place. But we've got to do the work to bring the balance and the alignment and the receiving. We've got to receive ourselves fully. We've got to receive energy fully. We've got to receive those things before we can really give out with potency. And yeah, and then we bring the two energies into balance in our lives, and then we create harmony to be at peace within ourselves on this planet, to be in our own bodies, you know, whether it's as women, as men, be in our bodies, be comfortable with who we are, you know, and be in flow with our energy, not be in dragging our energy around, our bodies around. Yeah, so it's the whole thing, it's the whole system, bringing it all. I don't know if I said that.
And yeah, beautiful. And I'm just getting the self-compassion piece again, because I know, you know, when I first came into this mindful presencing work, which is what qigong gave me before the word mindfulness was even like modern, being used in the contemporary manner, and because I didn't actually know how to land with myself in the present moment. It was like everything was about what you've done or what you're going to do. And you race through this present moment with a to-do list as long as your arm. You just have to get on with it. And it's like, whew. But it's in the now moment that you do this resourcing, that you do this full body listening, that you tune in with compassion to your system. And so, yes, there can be a fear around that, but my experience was that it was the fear of not knowing what that was going to be like, rather than actually, when I met myself, I became curious and compassionate with this little Clara inside that was a bit lost and didn't quite know the answers to everything. But it's funny, but when I gave myself to myself, it's like my heart expanded and went, I'm here for you. It's like, oh, we're a team then. And all these different aspects of character to come in to help. And sometimes I throw my toys out the pram and do a little hissy fit or whatever. But that's okay. That's all part of being a person, isn't it? The whole spectrum of being. Yeah.
What I really love is, you know, you just summarized what I do in completely different words. It's like, we're doing the same. I said this to you. I've watched your video. Before I came on your show, I watched your video, and I said to you, I said, you're doing something that I take, you know, quite a bit of time to educate people into this alignment process. And I could see you bringing that mindful presence in an instant in your video. And I was there in the feeling. And we're obviously, you know, I can hear it. We're coming from the same places. We have different strategies, but we're coming in from the same places. And that's a beautiful thing. And I think it's where we are as humanity evolving right now. I think what's really exciting is people like you and I are out there and we're sharing this work, and it's new and it's exciting and it really helps and it heals and it uplifts. And people just need to opt in and say yes to their lives,
to themselves,
to themselves, to their lives. They just need to say yes to their lives and go learn some new strategies, whether it's information or energy, you know, exercises, or I don't know what you call your thing, but
qigong.
You know, just say yes. Go and learn. Try something new and get on a new track, because if the track you are on is not working, find a new track. Follow it. Follow your intuition. Take a new track. We need to do this to come into wellness and vitality and health. Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, I love your passion, Dawn. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you have here on Chi Time, this episode. And Thank you all for listening and watching as well. If you've got any comments for us, drop them into the comments box if you're watching on YouTube, and remember to subscribe so you know what's coming up next. And if you're on UK Health Radio, you can always drop us a line on info@ukhealthradio.com, or come over to my Facebook group, which is the QIKI Temple. And yeah, we'd be really happy to hear from you, continue the conversation. Here, we all learn from each other, don't we, Dawn? And as you were speaking about what you do, it's like there's a universal truth around this alignment and these rhythms that we all get, and it's for you to find that within yourself. And people like Dawn and myself and other sort of experts in the field, or people that have been through it, we've got a piece of the jigsaw puzzle, and so have you. You've got what works for you, and you've probably got what doesn't, just like Dawn and I have got what doesn't either as well. But we're in this crucible together now. Here we are, birthing the new earth. We're coming forwards with the truths of what is real, what is actually empowered within us, that wants to birth through us in service to humanity. But first and foremost, how we look after ourselves, how you take care of your chi is of utmost importance. So thank you, Dawn, for bringing more of the illustrations around that in this show here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, I'm goosebumping. Thank you so much.
Oh. And thank you all so much for listening and watching. I look forward to the next episode. So till the next time, keep your chi up, my friends. Your energy is important, as indeed are you.